Hi, I'm Carcino.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Oh, welcome. Oh, you thought I wasn't going to talk about this. No. I just gave it some time to see if anything else developed while this was going on. Don't forget to hit the like button coming through the door. We appreciate all the love and support. Now, as I sit here, and break this down for those who don't know, this has been going on for a very long time. And if you don't understand what this is really all about, then definitely strap in, because this is going to be the one for you. Now, everyone knows that, well, they should know, Michelle Beadle came up a basketball fan. Her father got lifetime tickets to the San Antonio Spurs. That goes without question. She is definitely cemented in their legacy at San Antonio and everything that you've ever heard about being in that group. Thank you, sir. Now, the biggest problem in this scenario started to rear its head. And when I say started to rear its head, I mean for real. Started to cement itself. When it got to a situation where these two titans, who were not on the same path at all, collided. And Michelle Beadle's thing was, she was going up there with the men, and a lot of them felt like they could never say anything to Michelle Beadle about anything. But she really was like one of the guys. She was the tomboyish type of girl. She knew everything about the San Antonio Spurs because her father, who has a deal, like oil deal with a certain gas, petroleum company, was plugged with the owners, and, she had all the access when it came to the Spurs. So, of course, the first thing she started doing was covering the Spurs. And it was like, well, we're going to move her up because, she had a leg up in the business. But she went to school for this. She went to college. She's a journalist. She knows how to report. She knows how to go about doing what she needs to do. Said sound privileged like Malika Andrews. No, it really isn't. The problem in this situation and scenario was that it was never designed to go in a way that you guys would see it going right now. This was designed to go in a whole different fray. Stephen A. was on the back burner when she was coming up. He was at the point where he was getting his own show. He was controversial, but fair. And, I'm here for the brothers. And they treated him as such. They got him up out of there. And once they got him up out of there, it was done and done. There was no coming back for Stephen A. Smith. The bosses up there did not want him back. They wanted him completely out of the business. He thought he was bigger than what he was. and they reminded him that he was just an employee, that they can get rid of it anytime they felt. And when they did that, more problems arose. Now, Michelle Beadle was somebody that other people at the company didn't like. A lot of women there didn't like her. A lot of people didn't like how she was being catapulted as the woman of basketball. She was getting everything in at the ESPY Awards. Many people made this rumor up. She had a slight 30-second conversation with Aaron Rodgers and Clay Matthews, and then somehow this story gets flipped around and turned into a big rumor that she told them, like, oh, she would do all these nasty little things and get them, and she would F Aaron Rodgers, and she was throwing herself at him. Very unprofessional, right? At the awards. She was like, this is a lie. This never happened. I never told somebody I would flash them my boobs and any of this stuff. Like, it was like, she was just so drunk. We've never seen somebody this drunk and unprofessional at an event. This rumor was being caused behind the scenes because she was going through a contract renegotiation during this time. So once she gears up to leave, and do her thing, there was this call to action where she had a deal in place with NBC. They were going to pay her money. The contract was up, and LeBron James wanted her head because she had made some statements about LeBron James, about his decision to go to Miami. And everybody had a decision, but he was more mad at her than anybody and tried to get her removed. And basically was able to achieve that because ESPN felt like their arm was being twisted by LeBron and the NBA to make a move and a decision on Rachel Nichols. I mean, not Rachel Nichols, but Michelle Beadle. So she ends up taking the NBC job, and they had all these plans and ideas, and then that didn't work. At the same time, Stephen A. Smith, he's been relieved. He's not even working there at this time. He's working at CNN at a cubicle. Then everything gets flipped upside down. Yeah, they're doing some type of sabotage job. I'll worry about it later. Yeah, so in the midst of all of this, there was the Ray Rice incident that came into play. And at this time, she's already like getting ready to come back to ESPN and work on Sports Nation. So she's coming back to ESPN. She's working on Sports Nation. She got a 2-year deal. And they were like, okay, here she comes. And he makes a statement about Ray Rice, Stephen A. Smith, basically defending Ray Rice. And he wasn't wrong for the statement. Probably the last black thing he ever said. And Michelle Beadle said, oh, this is just piggish, male chauvinist behavior. And she made a statement. Now, she was coming back to ESPN because they felt like, okay, it's 2014 now. The LeBron Miami thing has died down. Like she wasn't happy with the crossover show at NBC. So they said, well, let's bring her back. So NBC was like, yeah, you can take her because she fell out with Dave, what's his name, Gibbs, her co-host, and the producers at NBC. They wanted nothing to do with Michelle Beadle. She leaves. She comes back to ESPN. And the way it seemed like that boosted her career because she got sports. Right after that, she's got the Sports Nation deal. She's got a show that's getting ready to. What is this? Okay. All right. Yeah. That's all you have to say. Now, all of these deals are being put in place. All these actions and decisions are being made. And it looked like it came to her after she defended the woman and went against Ray Rice. Now, the woman who he's married to now, that was his fiance at the time, she was not going after Ray Rice. But yet they acted as if Ray Rice, and they were defending her. They never even checked on her. They never said anything praising this woman. Nothing. They never did anything. It was just attack Ray Rice. And that's all the plan was. So during this time, Michelle Beadle is the NBA, woman, sportswoman. NBA is her forte. So behind the scenes, it's this really hardworking person. Stephen A's like, oh no, it's not her fault. Don't blame Michelle Beadle. This is 100% on me. And that's all he would say. This is on me. This is 100% on me. Don't nobody blame Michelle Beadle. If you want to blame somebody, blame me. That was his take. Blame me. Don't blame anybody else. Don't blame Michelle Beadle. Blame me. But in the meantime, he's working on replacing Michelle Beadle. There's another person that works there who's up and coming, doing interviews, everything, right? This person, Stephen A. Smith, is closer to, I would say, than any of them. And he definitely was not close to Michelle Beadle. Michelle Beadle never respected him. Never. And the reason that she never respected Stephen A. is that she never took him as a serious journalist. He praises that he was this great journalist. That's a crock. She doesn't believe in that. Then, Rachel Nichols is coming into her own, and she wants that spot. And the person that has the NBA spot is Michelle Beadle. She's the NBA girl. And she's in ESPN's Golden Girl. So it's time for her to re-up for her contract. Now, at the same time, Stephen A. is going to become the man now at ESPN. She's going to be the first lady. Stephen A. is going to be the first man in sports. So then they got, the lead-in show to the NBA playoffs. And that was Michelle Beadle. They had her and Sage Steele, and it was her show. They had Ramona Shelburne. It was Beadle and Shelburne, doing their show. And she had Sports Nation, and she would interview people. And Stephen A. was closer and pushing for Rachel Nichols. And once he was the host of First Take, and Skip Bayless left and was like, I'm leaving to First Take to go do my own thing. Michelle Beadle was just never a fan of the show. She never was a fan of First Take. She thought First Take was juvenile. She thought like there was no journalism, it's just people yelling at each other. She just really didn't like the show. Nothing personal against Stephen A. Smith. She just looked at him pretty much as a hack. Just not somebody that would like a personality, but not a journalistic, integrity type of guy. She just didn't like him. Just pretty much, he just did sticks all the time. And Stephen A. don't like people that see through him. It's like a magician looking at somebody who knows their tricks. They don't want to see them around. They don't like that vibe. So he knows, Michelle Beadle knows she see through him. So he don't like that. Plus, after what she did with the Ray Rice situation, he kept pushing for Rachel Nichols. Behind the scenes, this man who claimed he didn't care, he just worried about his thing. He was pushing for Rachel Nichols to get more interviews. And all of a sudden, Rachel is still in more of the exclusive interviews. It's like, why is Rachel doing an exclusive interview with LeBron James? And why is she doing an exclusive interview with this person? Now, the people that we're going to interview on the show looks moot. And they were like, oh, well, LeBron said he only wants to interview with her. Oh, they said they only want to interview with Rachel. They feel more comfortable with Rachel. So she was like, okay, well, someone else could Sage Steele to sit down and do them. So they're interviewing the coaches and everybody else. But meanwhile, the players that everybody loved is being interviewed by Rachel Nichols. So when Michelle Beadle would go on vacation, they would put Rachel Nichols on the show. Rachel started doing it when Michelle went on vacation. And it was clear that they were trying to push her out and put Rachel in now. Then the show started to go on, and Stephen A. started to get a little bit of power on the show as well. And Michelle was not liked still by LeBron, still for the reasons why. And she was very critical of him losing. He didn't like to hear that. And he just didn't like Michelle Beadle. Rachel Nichols didn't like her, and because she wanted her spot. So it was just competition. But once the networks stopped doing what they were supposed to do and support, that's when it became more of a circus. It became more of a show that people didn't understand, people didn't watch, and they were just confused by it. So they changed the name of the show, right? Michelle Beadle is gone. They buy her out in 2019. She says, all right, that's it. I'm gone. She didn't blame Stephen A., nothing. Now, everybody's talking about what happened, and this is his revenge from Ray Rice, and he made the announcement that she had to be gone. All these years, when she left, she would always talk about mostly LeBron and Rachel Nichols. But she really kept it quiet. Only few people know. She said it like maybe once or two times. But once this thing blew up with LeBron and Rachel and how this whole thing just got so big where it seemed very racial, and everybody came after her about the Maria Taylor situation because she felt Maria Taylor's a threat to her. Anybody who was coming near the NBA after she got it from Michelle Beadle, they had to go. She came after, she snapped at Jemele Hill one time because somebody wanted to do an interview with Jemele Hill. She was the hottest thing going at the time, his and hers. And then it was like, oh man, where's Jemele Hill? I wanted to do it. So Rachel thought Jemele Hill was trying to lobby the players to say, hey, they want Jemele Hill. She was like, look, I don't want the show. I don't want to be on the show. You got it. I don't mess with the NBA, Rachel. That's your thing. You know, I'm cool doing what I do over here. I'm not trying to get in your lane. So she already knew about Rachel Nichols. Rachel wasn't going to let any other woman come take that spot. But they kept trying to feature Maria Taylor more because they were getting hit with this diversity thing. No diversity at ESPN. Women don't have a chance, and black. So they like, okay, we're going to have a black woman. We already got them employed. Let's just promote them more. So let's try to stick them on the NBA show because Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff that was going on. So they want to promote them. And this is how Maria Taylor, Maria Taylor got her boost, but she was in a contract negotiations the whole time. And she was leaving the network because they were not going to agree. So they tried to smear her whole name. And then they put Malika Andrews in there. And that's how she, with no talent at all, gets, I won't say no talent, but limited talent and limited background, gets boosted up to a top job in the company. Then Rachel Nichols basically said Maria Taylor was a diversity hire, which was clearly not the case, and got Steven Jackson to say that stupid stuff on air, on the internet, and that doomed him. And yes, and then it put everybody in a dark light. It moved everybody to a position that they shouldn't have never been in the first place. So once that happened, you start to see changes. Changes started to come, and it was more frequent, and people were out of there. I mean, completely out of there. There was no more wiggle room. There was no more room for error, no margin for error. Guys were gone. People was being shifted around. So now as Stephen A is coming up, he's doing this thing in the world. He's got all the power in the world. He just signed this big deal with ESPN. He's got $100 million man. He's in negotiations with his Stephen A. Smith show. What company's going to get it, right? Then it goes from Michelle Beadle and what she's going to do with what she's doing, right? What is the Beadle going to do? So she's out doing her shows, doing internet content, not trying to come back to the majors. She just want to be doing internet, doing her podcast shows. She's going on her friend's show, and she was talking about the LeBron thing. The Aaron Rodgers thing is there, and she never really mentioned Stephen A. Smith and how they never really got along after that. Now, Stephen A. Smith goes out and makes an announcement that he's got 2 new shows that's going to premiere on Mad Dog Radio. So he makes that announcement that it's going to be on Mad Dog Show. This is it. After this announcement is made, a heavy change was made throughout the entire spectrum, right? And everyone is like, well, what is the big move? What is going on here? What is happening? So the big move was clear. Yeah, so the big move was we're going to move out Rachel Nichols. Well, we're not going to move out. Well, she was fired from that position, and Michelle Beadle couldn't wait but to rub that in because of how Rachel Nichols was with her. And the fact that Stephen A. made that announcement, that was answering your question. Now, once Stephen A. Smith was making that announcement, they said, Michelle Beadle, your show and your time slot, that's pretty much, you guys are gone. Now, as this negotiation was going on, they tried to make it look like Stephen A. was only going to bring his shows there if Michelle Beadle's show was knocked out of the box, which wasn't the case. But he wanted to have 2 shows on the network, on the platform that he's doing, one for politics and one for his, his talk show or whatever. So Stephen A. Smith feels like I bring in bigger ratings, and that's how Mad Dog feels. But he owes Mad Dog because after he got rid of Max Kellerman, which really pissed off a lot of people who were journalists there. They loved Max Kellerman, like writers that work on the show, and that's now television personalities, and some that never get on television. They just write for ESPN. They hate Stephen A. Smith. They hate him with a passion, mainly because of the Max Kellerman thing. A lot of them liked Max, and one of them that liked Max was Michelle Beadle. And once that happened, it was like, see what's happening there now? Told y'all, look at what's happening. So when that took place, that's when she started to point out, like, see what the problem is and see what's happening. It wasn't Max. We know who the problem was. Stephen A. remembered all that. But did he have anything to do with this? No. This was payback. And for Mad Dog being put back on television, they thought Mad Dog was too loud, too much him, rambunctious to be put on television, to get a network deal on television. His style is more suited for radio. They feel they would get censored on the air if Mad Dog say something out of bounds. Stephen A. brought him back to ESPN television in guest spots, and he was going to be the other Skip Bayless. And that's who the host was originally supposed to be, Mad Dog and Stephen A. going back and forth. That's what, they wanted to do, have their other Skip Bayless. But Mad Dog comes off as a WWE character sometimes, and it just doesn't seem authentic. Now, they liked Mad Dog when he was on the show, though. A lot of people liked his personality and what he brought to the show. So Mad Dog was there, and for all these years, Mad Dog Russo's been there, and now he's got his show. ESPN was the home for Stephen A. Smith's show for a while, and now he's going, his contract is up. He's going over to Mad Dog, and that's pretty much where it's at. He had nothing to do with this process. But the only thing that was bad here was how it was presented to Rachel Nichols and her team. That was very unprofessional. And they were told and just recently that day, it was embarrassing. It was in the Hollywood Reporter, and no one knew anything. So
I've heard so many buts, and it's time. And I will never agree with anybody saying that. I think that is absolutely absurd, stupid, short-sighted, and asinine. But then again, what isn't? So, 888 Mad Dog 6 is how you can reach us today.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun few hours here.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure no one's feelings will get hurt in any way, shape, or form. 888 Mad Dog 6. How you guys doing? Because announcements abound. I heard Shine. The big three are back. Oh, yeah.
What does that mean? Big what?
Yeah, big three, Mad Dog.
Oh, you mean, well, if you want 2 hours of Jamal Williams needs to show up for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Wait, who's Jamal Williams? That's right, a guy who doesn't exist. And by the way, I'll have lots of these fun types of nuggets for you for as long as we remain on the air. Just as like an appetizer, amuse-bouche, if you will. We're coming in hot today, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in hot.
Hot.
Yes. So the cat's out of the bag. I guess we're talking about it. We weren't supposed to. Just as a heads up, we were only given a few hours notice, but we weren't told any details. We were promised that no details would be released. We didn't even know who was taking our place in the lineup. Just that it was going to be announced that new show was being added. Unbeknownst to us, the Hollywood Reporter, of course, had all the details. So it was a little embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. I've been in this business for 20 plus years. I've been treated poorly a couple times. This didn't feel good. I'm not going to lie.
So, very hot around the collar. You guys can see where this was going and what the outlook was. And by it being in this tone, you can tell that the situations and scenarios have kept rearing his head around constantly due to the facts that you have two strong personalities in Michelle Beadle and Stephen A. Smith, where she knows like this business is dog eat dog. But like she says, it's a reminder we're just all pieces of it to somebody. If you forgot, boom, there it is. The Hollywood Reporter comes out and there's his face. I was like, I should have known. That was just kind of gross. I don't care that we're being replaced or what have you. It happens all the time. But a little respect would have been nice. Good Lord. I was totally blindsided. Just really embarrassed, to be honest. And that's just how it went. She was completely embarrassed that she would be put in this situation again. That Mad Dog, it was such a backlash that Mad Dog had to come out and make a statement about it, saying that, oh, I didn't make the decisions. The bosses that they made the decisions. I was aware there was a negotiation going on. And it was a lot of things going on at that time. Stephen A. had nothing to do with it. And he didn't request that her show be removed. He didn't know what show would be taken out of a slot or whatever. They thought of it as a business perspective. Michelle Beadle does have a following, but Stephen A., they feel moves the needle more. And if the show somebody had to go, it was going to be the Beadle. If they have to go Stephen A. or the Beadle, they're going to take the Beadle. And Stephen A. is more popular, bigger name. So 2 shows from him on the network, that should get it done. Now, everything BS to me, I don't know where they're going to go with the rest of this. All I can do is just tell you how it is. And for right now, that's what's happened from the beginning to the end. Everything in between. Christian don't like Michelle Beadle. Me, I don't have a problem with Michelle Beadle. I met her. She was completely nice. She's a dog person, like a lot of dogs. I thought she was a dog walker at one time, but I never had a vibe from her. I didn't like what she did with Stephen A. Smith. Now that I didn't like. I stood up for Stephen A. Smith in that Ray Rice situation. That was wrong. Because I was like, wait a minute, colleagues is not supposed to talk about colleagues. That was not allowed. Especially in an open platform. That should be in the contracts. And I think she just came back and, she had the Me Too movement. All the women were getting behind her. So she was a meteor at the time. So Stephen A. got suspended for 2 weeks. And during that 2 weeks, he apologized everywhere. I did something really stupid. I said something that was insensitive. I meant something else, but yet it came out wrong. So he knew all he had to do was swallow it. He could not support Ray Rice publicly. That was dead. And after his last firing, he knew. He did something else too, but it just never got out to the public. But he did something in the company where he said something stupid on air, and it pissed off a lot of female employees that work for ESPN. So he had to go talk to the HR lady she had to go meet her for lunch or dinner. She's like in charge. She's like one of the bosses too. And he had to sit down and she actually had a talk with him. And he's like, you know what? I never thought of it like that. You're so right. So he's had other incidents that happened where he said something on the air and it came off as misogynistic. And Stephen A would always toe the line. And, you know, he would get back in line. So now let me go and see if I could fix whatever sabotage problem that's happening today. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life. Don't forget to go to my Patreon, Carcino for Life, and I'm out.